Good morning, Year 4, and welcome to today's English lesson. So we have started thinking about our Mr. Men and Little Miss stories that with all the characters that we were assigned earlier in the week. And the grammar that we're going to focus on as part of this work that we're going to do is to do with speech. And more importantly, what we're going to call direct speech. And the punctuation marks that we're going to practice using are called inverted commas. And you may see adults doing this, inverted commas. Okay, and that's a really nice way of remembering which ones they are. They're inverted commas. Okay, because they look a little bit like that. Okay, so that's what we're going to practice doing today. And then in our writing over the next few lessons, we're going to look at developing our use of speech in stories and punctuating it correctly with inverted commas. Okay, so let's get started with our work for today. Inverted commas, okay, you may have heard them called speech marks or quotation marks, but they're all the same thing, and you can see them there. Okay, there's two places where they're needed. That's why we always do them in pairs. I never just do that or that. They come in pairs, and they go at the start and the end of speech. Okay. So in this sentence here, what's the matter, Dina? Said Sid. The words that Sid says are, what's the matter, Dina? Sid doesn't actually say the words, said Sid. Sid, in the conversation, the words that have come out of his mouth are, what's the matter, Dina? So those words are in inverted commas. Okay, so at the start, like it says there, we open our inverted commas with what looks like a 66. Okay, before the first word which is being spoken, and then at the end of the speech, we close our inverted commas with a 99, so almost like the opposite of the first one, after the last word that's being spoken. Okay, and one thing it says at the bottom is, imagine that inverted commas are like hands, they only hold within them only the words that are being spoken. Okay, so like I said there, the word said Sid, he didn't say. Okay, so we don't include those in the inverted commas. Now, you can also see that there's another piece of punctuation in that sentence. Okay, after the word Dina and before the 99 on this end, there's a question mark, because that those words that he said is a question. Okay, so there's three possible things that we could use at the end of our speech before we use that 99. Okay, we could use a comma, a question mark if it's a question, or an exclamation mark if it's an exclamation. Okay, and then after we've got a bit that says said Sid, we put a full stop. Okay, so if I'd have said the words, oh wow, said Mr. Hyde, what do you think I'd use there? Well done. I'd use an exclamation mark, because it's an exclamation. It's something that, wow. Okay, it's something that I need to show the importance of. We will be doing this all day, said Mr. Hyde. Well, that's just me saying words. It's not a question. It's not an exclamation, so that I'd have a comma before the 99. And there's some examples at the bottom there. How exciting it is, exclaimed Sarah. Okay, that's obviously got the question mark, the exclamation mark. I don't know what to do, said Saeed. I don't know what to do is not an exclamation. It's not a question, so it can just have a comma. Okay, now there's another name been put in there. This little bit at the end, said Sid, exclaimed Sarah, said Saeed. It's got a name. It's called a reporting clause. Okay, and I want you to imagine that all the reporting clauses you come across was said Sid, said Mr. Hyde, said Bob, said Bill, said Ben. Gets a bit boring, doesn't it? So there's alternatives. Okay, you can use different styles of reporting clause. So here we've got, what's the matter, Dina? Asked Sid, because he's asking a question. What's the matter, Dina? Whispered Sid. What's the matter, Dina? Uttered Sid. What's the matter, Dina? Shouted Sid. So by using a better word than said, it improves our reporting clause. So when we're having a go at using our speech in our stories over the next few days with our Mr. Men and Little Miss stories, rather than being sort of, what are you doing today? said Mr. Happy. It could be, what are you doing today? Asked Mr. Happy. What are you doing today? Shouted Mr. Happy. Okay, it's a little bit better than said. Okay, and begin writing down some notes as different words that you can use instead of said. Put said in word jail and use something better. Okay, now gonna give you a chance to practice this before I set you off on the task. So I'm going to show you 3 examples, and I want you to see if you can put the speech into a sentence, correctly punctuated with a reporting clause on the end. So here's a conversation between Amina and her son Sunil. Write the direct speech, what it says on a whiteboard, you just write it on your paper, using inverted commas and the correct punctuation. Sunil, can you come and help me send an email? So those words have been said by Amina. Can you pause the video now and write that down as a sentence with inverted commas, punctuation before the 99, and a reporting clause on the end? Off you go. Okay, now let's have a go at the next one. Here's a conversation between Mr. Miller and Max. Write the direct speech using inverted commas, the correct punctuation before the 99, and a reporting clause. Now, this one has got 2 lots of speech. We've got speech from Mr. Miller and speech from Max. When someone new starts speaking, we start a new line. We don't start a new paragraph. We don't leave a line. We just go onto a new line. Okay, so make sure you do that with this one, please. Off you go. Okay, and let's look at the 3rd and final one. This is a conversation between 3 friends. Write the direct speech down using your inverted commas, the punctuation before the 99, and the reporting clause. Make sure your reporting clauses have a full stop after them. Also, remember, new speaker means start on a new line. We've got 3 speakers this time, so we are going to have at least 3 lines. Okay? I say at least because you may get to the end of a line and have to start a new one. So we've got Lisa, Janine, and Alex in this one. Can you put that speech into a sentence and write it down? Off you go. Okay, so here's our examples. So, Sunil, can you come and help me send an email? Shouted Amina. So, better word than said, isn't it? Okay. So we've got inverted commas before Sunil, and we've got one after email. But because she's asking a question of Sunil, there's a question mark, okay? And there's a full stop there at the end. For the second one, with Mr. Miller and Max, please could you take those to Jessica's classroom? There's a question mark. Asked Mr. Miller, because he's asking Max. No problem, sir, replied Max. I like that. Reply is a good one, better than said. Okay, look where they've got the inverted commas. The inverted commas comes after this punctuation here. And you can see with the one with Max, they've not got a question mark. It's just a comma, followed by the 99 of the inverted commas. And finally, if we've got the 3 girls here, the first one, Lisa, what are your plans for tonight? Asked Lisa. New line, new speaker. I don't really have any, comma, replied Janine. New line, new speaker. Do you fancy going out for a meal? Said Alex. Now, look, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sentences with speech on there. Only one of them says said. I like that. Okay, it's variety. It makes it easier to read. Okay, so make sure of yours that we are using other ones for what we call our reporting verb. Doesn't matter if you use said, asked, exclaimed, or any other reporting verb. Just don't forget to mix it up a bit. Okay, like it says, the same reporting verb too many times can get boring. Okay, so you can flick back through the video and have a look over other things that we've already said, but make sure we've got in our speech, direct speech, inverted commas, the punctuation before the 99, our reporting clause with a better word than said, and our full stop on the end. That's the checklist. 1, 2, 3, 4 things. Okay, if you can check those 4 things, well, perhaps a 5th, start a new line for a new speaker, you're doing well with your 4. Okay, so let's see how we get on. We're going to be practicing this over the next few days. Can't wait to see the work you've done. There's some worksheets on the webpage for you to be having a go at. There's an easier or a harder task. It's up to you. You can do which one you want. Okay. See you soon.